Okay, so I'm gonna do this again. We're gonna make the Star Stitch bookmark again, just because I thought it's great to know and it's actually quite fun to do. Um, so if you want to join along in this live with me, feel free to do that. And yeah, there's only two rows to make for the star stitch. The second row is not too difficult. The first row just takes a little bit of planning. And then of course you have the tassel, which is this thing right here to make towards the end. And we can make that together as well. So that's what I thought we'd do today. Um, and let's see if we can start. So before we get started, I just want to say that I usually use for this type of work somewhere between a 3 millimeter hook and a 4 millimeter hook. So even though I say between, I actually mean like it can be 3 or 4 or somewhere in between. And as you can see here, I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. So that's about this thick, just not too bad. And yeah, I'm not sure what the 6/0 means there, but hey, it's for all intents and purposes, this just means 3.5 millimeter hook. So what we'll do here is we're going to use a this here. This is 4-ply cotton yarn, as you can see. So I'm just going to move these to the side. Um, and I'm just going to choose this color. It's peach. This is a peach color right here. And all we want to do, I kind of want to wait for people to come so I can, because this first part is very important. But no one is here yet, so maybe let's just go talking a little bit about stuff. So I'm gonna have a video that comes out soon. Look, so guys, I don't know if you knew this, but I made this Cinderella. She is so adorable, and this is like one of my favorite patterns that I've created to date. This is Cinderella. Now there's something really cool about this Cinderella that I am going to, well, I've already made a video. I was just in the process of editing, but I kind of need your opinion. Oh, hey, Sylvie, how are you? This is what I have made. It is a mini Cinderella. So I actually have a mini Cinderella that I put on this channel, and it's a tutorial, so you can see this. Can I join your live with you? I get in bowling. I don't know how to do that, but you're here, so that's awesome. Thanks for coming. But yeah, so like look, I made this really tiny one using like the technique. Well, there's no technique, it's just called micro crochet because you're using such small thread and a very tiny hook. I think the hook that I used was 0.9. But I was thinking this could be like an earring. I don't know. What do you reckon? An earring for this Cinderella? Make her into an earring? It would be like a pretty decent size earring, nothing like extremely small and dainty, but the people seeing the earrings would definitely be able to see that it's Cinderella, that's for sure. I think the thing that makes this so big is just the dress. The dress is like ginormous, but I guess that's the effect that you're looking for, right? It's this ball gown sort of thing. So anyway, I'm thinking of making this into earrings. I just need um, I guess people to tell me if that's a great idea or not. And then I'll sell it on Etsy. Why not? So, anyways, there's my Cinderella earrings, inspired from my pattern of my bigger Cinderella, as you can see here. Okay, so getting back into it. Bye bye. Getting back into it, we're going to make this star stitch bookmark right here. And as I said, I'm using what is this? A 3.5 millimeter hook. And then I have my yarn right here, which is just 4-ply yarn. Hey, Mark, what are your favorite brand of hooks? Oh, I don't have a favorite brand. I actually really don't care what type of hooks I use. Some people are really picky about it. I've been using just the normal, like, basic set for a very long time. It's only recently that I just bought these. And like, there's nothing special about these except maybe just the way this is. Like, it's a bit more silicone based, so it's nice to hold. But other than that, I don't really have much of a preference, honestly. Just I would recommend not spending too much on crochet stuff unless you really want to. anyone can start crochet even with the basics of materials. Okay, so to start our bookmark, we're just going to make a simple slip knot right here, and there we go. So if you didn't know how to make that slip knot, I'll show you quickly. So just pulling that apart, we wrap the yarn around the fourth finger, then around the second finger. We grab the yarn with our third and first fingers, and then from here, we're just going to twist the yarn a little bit. You've got this X right here, and we're going to hold that with our thumb and third finger. Insert the hook through the loop, grab the yarn and pull it through, and then pull the tail nice and tight, but not too tight. You don't want to snap your yarn right at this point. And then there you go. That's the slip knot right there. So now the next part, this is what you really have to pay attention to with this star stitch bookmark. And what I would say and suggest for you to do is ensure that you have a multiple of 2. So you're chaining a multiple of 2. So you get the desired length that you want, but you need it to be a multiple of 2. So of course, all even numbers that would include. Now, let's say for this, all intents and purposes, I'm just going to chain, let's say 30. So I've just chained 1 right there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and number 30. Okay, once you've chained a multiple of 2, this is great because all you need to remember here at the end is to chain an additional 4 stitches. Okay, so remember with the star stitch, multiple of 2, and right at the end you just need an additional 4 chains. So let's do our additional 4 chains here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is very important because those first 4 chains is going to be the beginning of our star stitch, and then everything repeats from that point forward. So as you can see right in here, this would be my first loop, but I want to start in my second loop, and this is the second loop right here. So you can see we've already skipped 1 loop, so we've got an additional 3 now to work with. That's exactly why we chained an additional 4 at the beginning. Alright, so this is the beginning of the star stitch pattern. What you want to do is you want to wrap the yarn. So this is important for the beginning part. You're wrapping the yarn, and then you're inserting and starting in that second loop from the hook, or chain from the hook. That's what you call it, loop or chain. And then you're just going to pull the yarn through like so. Then you're going to wrap the yarn again, and you're going to insert your hook into the very next loop or chain and pull the yarn through, and pull it up a little bit as well, just to give you some extra space. Now we'll do this one more time. This is in that third loop, or technically 4th loop from the hook, and we're just going to pull the yarn through and lift it up right there. And then to finish this off, all we want to do is grab the yarn and pull it through every loop that was left on the hook right there. Then to finish off this star stitch, we're just going to chain 1, as you can see. So that is the beginning of making any star stitch pattern. And that's why you, again, chain those additional 4 single crochets, not single crochets, but you just chain an additional 4 on top of the multiple of 2 that you had. So I hope that's making sense. Okay, now the very next part is just something that you repeat over and over and over again. And it's very crucial to know this. So can you see this very first kind of centerpiece right here? If I just insert my hook through it, let's call that the donut hole. So inserting the hook through the donut hole. So that's 1 stitch space that we're going to be working with. Then the second one is, as you can see, we've kind of got these legs or strands coming out all the way down here. And in future, there will be a total of 6. And what you will be doing is always working in that last strand or leg. we'll call it an insect leg because an insect has 6 legs. So let's say we're working in that 6th leg, and that's where we're also working. Then another spot that we'll be working is right in this corner stitch. And we call it the corner just because it looks like the corner of this adjacent to the chains. But just remember, it's kind of that last stitch space you've worked in. And so that's the corner space right there. And then always you have the additional 1 and 2 loops to continue working it. And that's why always with those additional 2, that's why you want a multiple of 2 in your chains, your initial chains to begin with. So remember, when you're creating a star stitch bookmark or any type of star stitch, in your row, you want to have a multiple of 2 all the way to whatever your heart's desire, whatever length. And then you want to chain an additional 4 on top of that, okay? Because as you can see, we've just made this right here, which was the very beginning. We don't repeat this pattern here. This is just what we make in those additional 4 chains that we made. Okay, so if you didn't catch that, just rewind this live and you'll be able to see it. Okie dokie, so let's start working in those stitch spaces we talked about. So here we've got donut hole, and this time we're not wrapping the yarn on the hook either. So donut hole, hook goes in and it pulls the yarn through. Next we've got that 6th insect leg and we pull the yarn through that space as well. And let's just do that one again because I think I got a section where I didn't want to get. So there we go. That looks much better. Then we have the corner space, which is right here, and we're going to pull the yarn. And make sure you pull the yarn a little bit high as well, just like that, because you don't want to create such a tight space there. Yeah, so awesome, Mark. I'm glad you enjoy that. And happy crocheting, I guess. Okay, now we want to continue in this loop space. So here's the first loop, loop, and pull the yarn through just like that. And then in the very next loop, we're also going to pull the yarn through like so. And there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on the hook. Now, since we have 6 loops on the hook, as you can see here, this is where we are now about to pull the yarn through all 6 loops. So as you can see, I'm kind of pulling down the bottom here to get all of the yarn through all 6 loops. And just to finish off that half star stitch, we're just going to chain 1. Okay, so there you go. All right, so let us continue. Now that is what we're going to repeat all the way down the length of this entire chain. So the donut hole comes first. We grab the yarn and pull it through. Then we have the first insect or 6th leg of the insect, because there are 6 strands over here, or loops I should say, and we pull the yarn through that. Then we go into this corner space right here, and again we're going to pull the yarn up, and then we will insert our hook in the next loop, pull the yarn up, and one more time in the very next loop, pull the yarn up as well. There we go. So you can see now we have again 6 loops on the hook, and then we pull the yarn through all 6 of those loops like so. And just to finish that off again, we'll make a quick chain. So we've now made pretty much 2 half star stitches and then this very beginning part over here. And if you missed that beginning, just go back to it. It's very important to get that very beginning part and to know how many chains you should make when you're making a bookmark or something with the star stitch pattern. Okay, so let us continue. Mark, you've taken away your messages, but I did see them. Thank you very much for them. I really appreciate them. Okay, so we are going to continue now. We're going into the donut hole right there. Then we're also going into the 6th insect leg or strand and pulling up the yarn. Then the corner space, pull up the yarn, and always pull up the yarn as you can see. And then in the next 2 loops, you pull up the yarn, and one more, insert yarn hook and pull up the yarn as you do so. Now we have 6 loops on the hook, and we're going to just pull the yarn all the way through. So I hope you notice that I'm not saying yarn over, yarn under as well, because for this it doesn't matter what you choose to do. If you don't even know what that means, it doesn't matter for making this bookmark. So just quickly chain one there to lock all of those 6 loops in place. And by the way, if you did want to understand what the difference is between yarn over, yarn under in the types of stitches that you do, I have a wonderful video that is for beginner crocheters, and I think it's tutorial lessons for crochet beginners, and I think it's lesson 4. So go check that out on my channel if you haven't already. I've got a bunch of lesson videos so far, and I will continue to add to those as well as the weeks go by. There's so many different things to juggle, so I'm trying to get a lot of things done for you guys. So if you could please subscribe, I would love that. And if you could watch my videos too, that would be amazing. Okay, now let us continue. So we're going to continue. How does this live save? Yes, of course it does. All my lives are saved in the channel tab that's called lives. So you'll be able to see this later in case you can't stay for the full thing right here. And I also have a tutorial video that is now out to show you how to make this as well. And that might be better for you if you come back to it at some point. So I hope that helps. Okay, pulling the yarn thread through, and then we have an additional yarn that we're going to pull through in that loop, and then we have this loop as well. So it's always those additional loops until we get how many? 6 on the hook. So we have 6 loops on the hook right now, and we're pulling the yarn through all 6 loops on the hook. And notice how I kind of pull this part down as I'm trying to get the yarn through all 6 loops. So that helps is as you pull, it can, and the hook should always be facing down as you're pulling that and scooping it out. It's kind of like that scooping ice cream technique. You obviously don't want your hook this way, not really on the side, always down facing your project. Okay, now chain just to finish that off. And as you can see, we have all this to go, but we are making progress. I can probably go a little bit faster, although I am trying to explain and help you guys understand what to do when you make the star stitch bookmark as well. So I'm hoping it helps, and just comment in the chat if there's something you're not understanding. So we're going inside the donut hole as well. Boom. Then we go inside the 6th insect leg right here. That was just the technically it's the first loop that arrives over here once we have 6 loops on the hook. And then we go in that corner space right there, and we're always pulling the yarn up so we get more of that yarn space, and just makes it easier for us to pull the yarn through all 6 loops. Then in the next space we want to, or loop, we want to grab the yarn, and then one more time in this space right here we're going to grab the yarn and pull it through. And then again we're going to pull the yarn through all 6 loops on the hook and just chain once to complete that. There we go. How is this for you guys? Are you following along? Does it make sense? Do you think it's something you would be able to do by yourselves, make this pattern? It's just a repetition of exactly what we've been doing here. So again, donut hole, grab the yarn, pull it through. 6th insect leg, we're going to grab the yarn and pull it through. In the corner space, we're going to grab the yarn again and pull it through. Then we have the next loop from your chain and pull that up, and then make sure you pull that as high as you desire, and then into the next loop and also pulling that up. Then you pull the yarn through just like you're scooping ice cream, pull from below and scoop it up. There we go, and then chain 1 to complete that half a star stitch. And I'm saying half a star stitch because star stitches work in rows of 2. So you always need to complete row 2 in order to complete your full star stitch, if that makes sense. Okay, let's continue. Donut hole, pull up the yarn. Insect leg, the final one. Let's just get in all of it. Pull up the yarn. In the corner space, also pull up the yarn like that. Then in the next loop, pull up the yarn. It's kind of like a scorpion every time I come in to do the next part. This tail just flips up, doesn't it? Okay, so there we go. We've got 6 loops on the hook right there. And we're going to, again, ice cream scoop our way through all 6, scooping it up, boom, there we go. And chain just to finish that off. All right, we don't have too much to go here. We're making a lot of progress. And for those of you who don't know, see, this is my Cinderella. Okay, you can see a decent size. I have a pattern that's available on Etsy if you ever wanted to make her. But then, this is the part where I want your advice on. I have made a micro crochet version of Cinderella. Of course, she doesn't have eyes yet. I should probably include them at some point. But I'm thinking, what do you think? Should I make this into a pair of earrings? It could be quite cute. Anyways, this is my mini micro crochet Cinderella version that I have made, and I have a video coming out on my journey trying to make that as well. So let me know in the comments if you think I should make that into earrings if you saw that. Okay, so again, donut hole, pulling up the yarn, insect leg, the 6th one, pulling also the yarn up. Then in the corner space, pulling the yarn up. Then in the next loop, we pull the yarn up. And the very next loop here, we're also going to pull the yarn up. And then we're just going to pull and make an ice cream scoop and pull the yarn through all 6 loops on the hook. Chain 1 to put all of those loops together and continue on with that exact same pattern. So donut hole, pull the yarn, insect leg, number 6, pull up, then corner space, pull up, and then the next 2 loops on the chain, one at a time, we're going to also pull up the yarn. So here's the second one, pulling up the yarn. Make sure you pull it up again so you can get your ice cream scoop of yarn through all 6 loops which are on the hook, and chain 1 to lock them all in place. You see we're getting further and further along here with this star stitch. Remember, star stitch, it needs 2 rows to be completed. This is the first row right here, and you'll be all very relaxed when I get to the second row because you'll see it's a lot easier than this first one. Okay, donut hole, pull the yarn through, complete. Side leg, pull the yarn through is also now complete. The corner stitch coming up, pull the yarn through, and then the next 2 chain loops we will also enter our hook into and pull the yarn up. Then we do again our lovely ice cream scoop, making sure we do our best not to get caught up inside, and chain 1 to lock that all in place. Again, repetition is always the key to getting things as perfect as you can muster them. Pulling the yarn through that spider leg, then the corner space, pulling the yarn up through, then the loop on the hook, the loop in the chain, and then the very second loop in the chain until we have 6 loops on the hook, as you can see here, and our wonderful ice cream scoop pulling the yarn through all 6 loops which were on the hook. Chain 1 to finish that off. We're getting very near to the end here. As you can see, there's only maybe like a total of 5 or 6 star stitches or half star stitches to go to complete our round 1. So let's get this done, shall we? So we pull the yarn through the donut hole, then our insect leg, the final one, we're going to pull the yarn through as well. Then the corner space, we will also pull the yarn through. Then in the next 2 loops, but one at a time, we're also going to pull the yarn through. So 1 there and 1 there as well, and pull the yarn through. Chain that to keep it all in place. There we go. All right, let's do it again. Let's do this again. Donut, pull the yarn through. Leg space, pull the yarn through. Corner space, pull the yarn through and lift it up. as best as you can. Then the first loop, which was on the chain, pull up, and then the second loop following that first one, pull the yarn up, ice cream scoop our way through all 6, and then chain 1 to lock it in place. We are currently making a star stitch bookmark, as you can see here. We've got half of the star stitch right here, and we're going to complete it in the second row. So we're almost down to our last couple of half star stitches here. So pulling the yarn through this donut hole space, that's what you can see. Then in the insect leg, the 6th one, we pull the yarn through. Then in the corner space, we also pull the yarn through and pull it up a little bit as well. Then in the next loop on the chain, pull our yarn through, and our second loop on the chain, pull the yarn through. You want a total of 6 loops on your hook. At that point, you can pull the yarn through all 6 loops on the hook and chain 1 to lock that all in place. Now, as you can see, we have a total of 2 loops left over, and this is why it was super important just to get the amount of chaining correct when you started this out. So if you missed that part, watch my tutorial video on this star stitch bookmark, or just reverse the live, rewind it a little bit, and go back to where I talk about this. All it is a multiple of 2, and then add an additional 4 chains to finish that. Okay, let's finish this final star stitch or half star stitch to finish round or row 1, I should say. Okay, pull the yarn through the donut loop, the insect leg, then our corner space, pull it up, then in the first loop. You're welcome, Joss. Thank you so much for commenting on them and liking them and watching them. I really appreciate it. I hope they help. And then pulling the yarn through that final one till we get 6 loops on the hook, and then we pull the yarn through all 6 of them. Are you enjoying them, by the way? How do you find the more entertainment type ones? Because I'm not sure if I should continue if people don't really watch them, so I'm not sure to continue those or just stick with the tutorials or both. I'm not sure. What do you think? How are you enjoying all my videos? Okay, chain that just to keep it all in place, and then what I can do is chain 1, and this is where we turn our project around and we're working on the next side. I made a bookmark. It's a bit curly though. Am I doing everything tight? It could be a little bit tight, but naturally just cotton yarn or just any type of yarn is kind of twisted naturally, so it would twist naturally. But I did talk a little bit about blocking if you wanted to try that as well. So in the video you'd see that I spoke about getting like a foam piece or a piece of cardboard, pinning your bookmark to the cardboard, and then just using some type of steam. You can also dunk it in water and let it dry pinned, and then once it's dry pinned, you'll have a pretty straight bookmark. So it's just up to you. Honestly, absolutely perfect. You're awesome. Thank you. Hey, Kylie. Lovely to see you here. I hope that helps, just trying to get it not so curly. Naturally, you will have a curl, but sometimes it can be to do with how tight you're doing the stitches as well, and then blocking as another precaution to just straighten out your bookmark as well. And that's why you'll see people talking about blocking clothing and cardigans, scarves, and all those types of things, just to stop the yarn from naturally curling, if that makes sense. Good. Okay, perfect. Well then, yes, you know exactly what to do next. Go try some blocking. I've actually never blocked before, but I know all about it and I understand the theory behind it, but I just have never tried it. So all of these, you can see there's like a natural curl in it. Can you see it kind of twists a little bit? I can get away with it, but if it was really, really twisted, I would probably try a blocking technique. Oh, you're welcome. No problem at all. Okay, let me try and teach you all now just to finish this bookmark. Because I didn't say, but what we're going to do is we're going to be working in each of those donut hole spaces right here. So all of those donut holes, that's what we're going to be working in, and we're going to be doing, hey Minecraft, we're going to be doing 2 single crochet stitches in each of those donut hole spaces. And that's really it. So here, look, we're doing another donut hole right here. we're doing another donut hole. What I mean is that we're making 2 single crochet stitches inside that donut hole, or 2 single crochet stitches just means an increase by default, especially if it's not specified. So an increase means 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. So here is the next donut hole, as you can see. It's pretty easy to find them, but if you are having trouble, turn your project around and you'll be able to find them. Very easy along. Okay, so donut hole doing an increase, or otherwise known as 2 single crochet stitches, just like so. 2 single crochet stitches. Next donut hole, we've got another 2 single crochet stitches here. Next donut hole, another 2 single crochet stitches. There we go. Another donut hole right here, which means another increase. And then here's another one. And we just complete this all the way along our bookmark or second row. So here's another one. We're just making an increase again. As you can see, you kind of relax on this second row. It's not too difficult. It's just basically single crochet stitches in an easy stitch space, which is just your donut holes, huh? So here's another one. Insert the hook and complete your 2 single crochet stitches. It's so much easier than that first row, I must say, especially if you're a beginner. You'll be relaxing and thinking single crochet stitches are the easiest thing now once you get to this second row. So continuing with our increase, or 2 single crochet stitches in each of those donut holes, as I like to call them. Good imagery at least, so you can see what you're working with and visualize it a little bit better, and memorize it even as well. That way you don't have to have a pattern in front of you to remember this star stitch pattern. So working in all of these donut holes, we're just making an increase stitch, which just means 2 single crochet stitches all inside that 1 stitch space. Now we're up to our final one right here. And all I'm going to do is still complete my increase. So here's my first single crochet stitch. Here's my second single crochet stitch right there. And now this is the part where we make a slip stitch, but we need to know where to make this slip stitch, don't we? So if you turn this a little bit around, you can see the first strand. So remember we had 6, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, which I can't really see in this camera to count them, but we can definitely see that first one right here. Okay, so we want the hook to go underneath that and then underneath, so that we get 2 loops on the hook. And once we have those 2 loops on the hook, and just before I do that, I want to make sure I'm completely under those strands, okay? I don't want to miss any strands. So I'm going to, oh, I do keep missing a strand or 2. There we go, that should be better. 2 loops on the hook, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then just pull that loop into the other loop that was on the hook. And that's how you complete the slip stitch. Okay, now that you've made that slip stitch, what you're going to be doing is just cutting the yarn like this. Just cut the yarn like that. Just cut a little bit of yarn and pull it nice and tight. And look, we have a beautiful star stitch bookmark all here. It's all here. Now all that has to be done now is you just have to weave in the yarn tails to hide them. So we should do that now. Okay, I'm just going to grab a needle, and then I am going to work my way. So this is the front, this is the back. I'm going to work my way into the back, okay? So here I am, and I'm going to just weave my needle through some of these back stitches. And by default, I usually like to choose the number 5, but in this case, I'm doing a little bit more just because it feels a little bit loose as I'm working my needle through that. So I just want to make sure the yarn tail is threaded nice and neatly into that space at the back there, just to make it perfect and that it won't come out, nice and secured. As you can see, I've weaved or got my yarn through, I've threaded it through the eye of the needle. Now you can use a pair of pliers for this, and you can pull the yarn tail through. And I'm just going to pull. You can see it starts to curl up at the end here, which we can correct towards the end, and just manipulate it, pull it a little bit to stretch it in place. And then we cut as close as we can so that it is not visible as you pull it back. There you go. So we've just weaved in the first yarn strand into the back there. And now we're going to do exactly the same with this yarn strand here. So we want to find our needle. We are working in the back. This is the front, this is the back. Weave our yarn needle into some of these back stitch spaces. By default, again, I use 5, but having a little bit more is more than fine, especially if you want to make it very secure inside. And then I'm just going to thread my cotton yarn through the eye of the needle, hoping for the best because it is quite a small eye. And then all I would do is use a pair of pliers and pull this needle through, and then pull it all the way, just like so, manipulating it and stretching it, pulling it back and forth just till it's nice and even and it looks exactly how I want it to look. And then at the point that you want to cut it, pull it a little bit, get as close to the beginning where it comes out of a stitch space and cut it. And then just stretch it a little bit, and there we go. There is our yarn star stitch bookmark that we have. So we've made a couple of them now, which is really fun. Like it's nice. It's such a nice gift to make, or for yourselves, for a friend, or anything like that. To make the yarn tassel, just check out my tutorial, which on the video that I most recently posted. Just check that out. It's not too hard to make. You'll find that it's quite easy. You can make your yarn tassels and attach it to the bookmark as well. We did that in this morning's live too. So go check out that video if you haven't already. Make your yarn tassels, make your bookmarks, and post them on Instagram if you have Instagram, and tag me in it so I can see your bookmark, because that would be awesome. And that's it. Thank you guys for coming and watching the live, and I hope you've enjoyed. And I guess I will see you in my next live, which may be tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and hopefully you can subscribe as well. Especially if you enjoy my videos and want to continue to see more and have me post a lot more, which is what I plan to do. So subscribe and enjoy. Thanks everyone for coming, and I'll see you next time. See ya!